Hello everyone, welcome to ResumoCast. Today is a very special day. I'm here with the founder of Waze, Uri Levine, and he's going to talk about his book, Apaixone-se, pelo Problema, não pela solução. Fall in love with the problem, not with the solution, which is the book that pretty much gave him the idea to launch his startup Waze, which was sold to Google in 2013 for $1.15 billion US. It's a unicorn. And also Uri has another experience with Moovit, which he's also co-founder and investor, and also another unicorn, many other business, serial entrepreneur, causing impact globally and change the world, falling in love with the problem. Welcome to ResumoCast, Uri. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Nice. So let's go straight to the point. What is the central message of your book?
Fall in love with the problem, not the solution, is probably the most important decision that you need to make at the beginning of your journey. Because at the end of the day, if you think of entrepreneurship journey, this is all about value creation. The simplest way to create value is solve a problem. That's it, as simple as that. But when you focus on the problem is going to serve as the North Star of your journey. And when you have a North Star, you're going to make less deviation from your course and you increase the likelihood of being successful. But perhaps on top of all that, your story is going to be way more compelling. Just imagine that we will be here in 2007 and I will tell you, before I started Waze, right, and I will tell you, you know what, I'm going to build an AI crowdsource-based navigation system. And you're going to say, oh yeah, very interesting, but you don't care. If I will tell you I'm going to help you to avoid traffic jams, then you don't care.
Wrong.
When your customer cares about you, they are going to make you successful and you really want it. So when you fall in love with the problem and you remain focused on the problem, this is only about value creation. Now, I would say that still I get 100 emails a week from entrepreneurs and 98% of them will start with our system is, or our AI solution is. This is this year, right? This year, everything is AI. Instead of saying, they're telling me what they're doing, which I don't care. What I do care is why they are doing that. And the why is the value.
Okay. And tell the story to the viewers about how you fell in love with the problem that led to the creation of Waze. What happened? The story is fascinating. So tell us a little bit about it.
So that's really simple, right? I hate traffic jam. That's that, right? But for me, I use frustrations in order to keep on thinking about whether or not there is something that I can do. And the eureka moment with Waze was the realization that all I need is someone to be ahead of me on the road and tell me what's going on, right? So Waze crowdsource everything. Traffic information, speed cam information, additional information, and the map data itself. Everything is crowdsourced. And the way that it works is that this is like a social network of drivers, right? You only care about someone ahead of you because they know something that you really want to know. And as soon as they get off the road, you don't care about them anymore. And you are really, really important for the drivers behind you. So it's a sort of a model of paid forward, which worked beautifully. Mm-hmm. Here in Brazil, I think Waze has the most significant impact here.
Really?
It's, when I was here in 2010, before we launched Waze, I would schedule meetings with different people and they will tell me, okay, we're going to get to your hotel. So there is no way that you can get to our office. And then I would ask them when. And they will tell me in the morning. Because there was an inability to actually plan, right? And today,
wow.
I told you I'm going to be here in 13 minutes. And this is exactly when I arrived, right?
Yeah.
I landed this morning. I landed at 5:40 a.m. I took the car at around 6 a.m. So there were no lines at immigration, which is beautiful. I like it this way. I hate lines as well. And the driver started Waze and it says that we're going to be at the hotel at 7:35 and we were at 7:36, right?
Okay.
So in a 95 minutes ride, 1 minute difference.
Wow. And how did you feel this occasion where you hop into the taxi and you see your application that you launched a couple of years ago and the guy has no clue. It's just driving the old creator of the thing. Is it good, that feeling?
It's really a good feeling, right?
Yes.
Because you feel value. You feel that you create value for others, and therefore you are valuable. And this is my purpose in life. It's about value creation. And I can create value in multiple ways, right? Through Waze or Moovit or different startups that I'm building, but all of them are about solving problem and create value. Or through the book that I wrote. And the reason that I wrote the book is because I'm an entrepreneur, right? No doubt about it, but I'm also a teacher. So I feel equally rewarded if I build stuff myself or I guide someone to build it. And the book is fulfilling my destiny as a teacher and share my know-how, which usually doesn't happen. Right? Not a lot of entrepreneurs are also teachers. And I will tell you that today I feel bigger reward when someone approach me and say, "Oh, I read your book." This is even more important. And I think that at the end of the day, even though that Waze is really, really impactful here in Brazil, and Moovit, by the way, for Waze, Brazil is market number 2, and the US is number 1. For Moovit, Brazil is number 1 market. I think that the book is going to make even a bigger impact because it's going to make people successful.
Nice. And we love books here. We read your book. We even stole some lessons to our programs with our startups. We like the tools that you bring here to identify how big is the problems. But tell me, what are the problems worth to solve nowadays? What problems would you seek for? Interesting problems to solve.
The good news is that there are a lot of problems.
Yeah.
The bad news is that
the top one, the priority.
It doesn't matter, right? You need one of your own. You need something that you really connect with, that you really feel passionate about it, that you're really willing to go into this journey and sacrifice everything else, right? And so therefore, the problem that I'm trying to solve is not necessarily the one that you're trying to solve. With my startups, one of them is dealing with retirement savings and at the end of the day, trying to help people to retire richer.
That's one of your startups.
That's Pontera, yeah. One of my startups that I started, actually before Waze was even acquired, right? So, and there are multiple startups that I'm building, and each one of them is trying to solve a problem. In mobility, I like mobility, so one of the startups called Pumba trying to solve parking.
Parking
is a major issue in big cities.
Yeah. And what is the approach?
The approach is actually engaging the community, right? So by and large, I would say what we have learned during the Waze days is that looking for parking is about 1/3 of the drive that you have, right? So if your total drive is 1 hour, 20 minutes of that, you are spending on the park. And so obviously it's a big problem. It's worth solving. The approach that we have is actually the members in the neighborhood actually installing cameras on their balconies, and those provides real-time picture of where all parking spots are.
Wow!
And therefore we help people to find the nearest and the fastest park.
It's like a Waze for parking
sort of
spots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crowdsourcing is very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful because if you figure it out correctly, then it's the best way to gather information.
Okay. And how do you see this whole AI revolution and the new possibilities with this technology, right? Which is just a tool to solve problems and create business model in terms of solving those problems. What do you see are the opportunities for application of this AI revolution into solving problems?
So you're right. It's just a tool. So what is the problem?
Find the most important problem.
And that you need to start with the value. Now, is that a very productive tool to provide value? Yes, definitely. Yes, in some areas. We also, we call everything AI, but even though that in the last year, what we are referring to is the language generations or content generations AI, by and large, right? So not just language, but also maybe images and video and so forth. But if you think of just, for example, on autonomous vehicles, that's definitely AI, right? So wait a minute, if we can actually replace humans in making decisions while driving, then this is definitely AI, right? And it's even more complex than the language generation. If you think of one of my startups, C3, that turns out to be very successful here in Brazil.
C3?
Yeah, it's helping tree growers to increase the yield. And what we have is AI of image processing, and we have, either planes or drones flying over plantation. And then we are doing sort of an agronomist from the air, right? So we can tell the farmer if the tree is healthy or not, and if it's not, what is the issue, and so forth. Some of the customers are very famous here in Brazil, like Citrosuco and others, because, Brazil is large countries and there are a lot of trees, and we create value for those people.
Nice. So are there problems which are not worth to bother solving? How do you identify that to avoid misleading in your journey?
There is a research that says that of all the startups that failed, 50% of them failed because they tried to solve the wrong problem. Or they did not solve any problem, right? They started maybe with this solution. So in general, I would say, start with a big problem, something that is worth solving, something that the world is going to become a better place if you solve it. And then ask yourself, so who has this? Now, if you happen to be the only person on the planet, you know what? Go to a therapist. Way cheaper and faster than building a startup. But if you think a lot of people actually have this problem, what you really want to do next is go and speak with those people and understand their perception of the problem. So validate the problem before you even start your journey. And when I tell people, go and speak with 100 people, they tell me, why do I need 100? And I would say, okay, first of all, I don't want you to speak to your close friends and family. I want you to speak to people that you don't know. The second thing two things are going to happen, right? The first one is that when you speak with people and you explain the problem to them, if they don't share the same problem, they will tell you, oh, I don't know, or no, I don't have this. Oh, I know someone that have this problem, right? So these are the types of reactions that you will get. But if they have this problem, they're going to tell you, no, this is not the problem. The problem is, and they will give you their description of the problem. When these happen, you want to follow this path. Now, in general, and this is, but I think that 20 or 30% of the email that I get from entrepreneurs, it's about an idea. It's not even baked. And this is what I'm going to do. Exactly that. Go and speak with 100 people that you think have this problem. And see if they even care, right? If they don't care, you're not going to be successful. Don't even start. If they care, then only then start to think about the solution.
So it's all about taking good ideas into projects that are worth to invest minutes of your life on those projects.
It's not minutes. It's the vast majority of your life during
huge percentage of your day.
Yeah. It's building startup is hard, right? So people.
Why is it hard? You mean the funding journey until you get the checks and everything?
No. The entire journey is hard, right? So just think about the following, right? So I would define building a startup as a multi-dimensional journey. It's a roller coaster journey with ups and downs and ups and downs. And look, if you'll tell me that all the businesses in the world have ups and downs, I agree, all of them. But in a startup, the frequency of those ups and downs are way higher, right? That could be a few times a day. I think that I heard the best quote from Ben Horowitz on that. Ben Horowitz is one of the founding of Andreessen Horowitz venture capital firm. And before that, he used to be a CEO of a startup. And he was asked whether or not he was sleeping well at night as a CEO of a startup. Oh yeah, I slept like a baby. I woke up every 2 hours and cried. And that's really the reality. There are days that you go home crying. And there are days that you ask yourself, why in heaven did I decide to go into this journey? So roller coaster is one dimension. The second dimension is that this is going to be a journey of failures. Look, we're trying to build something that no one did before. And we think that we know exactly what we're doing. The reality is that we don't. So we try. We try one thing and it doesn't work. We try another thing and it doesn't work. We keep on trying different things until we find one thing that does work. If you realize that this is going to be a journey of failures, then there are two immediate conclusions. The first one is that if you're afraid to fail, in reality, you already failed because you're not going to try. Albert Einstein used to say that if you haven't failed, that's because you haven't tried new things before. If you're going to try new things, you will fail. The second one, which is even more important, you have to fail fast. Because when you fail fast, you still have plenty of time to try another attempt, another version of the product, another go-to-market approach, and so forth. And this journey of failures is critical to understand that this is the case. For a second, I would say the biggest enemy of good enough is perfect. You don't need to be perfect in order to win the market. You need to be good enough. And the way that you are going to get to good enough is that you start with not good enough, and you're doing iterations. You're listening to your customers, and you're doing iterations and iterations and iterations and iterations and iterations until you become good enough, and then you win. Just imagine, let's say that there are two twin sister companies starting exactly the same day, and they're building exactly the same product, and they have twin brothers and sister teams, so they're really making exactly the same progress, until one day company A is saying, our product is not good enough. We need to keep on building that. And company B is saying, our product is not good enough, but we are going to go to the market. From this point on, company B is making way faster progress because they have real feedback from customers. And this is where, people occasionally would ask me, when is the right time to launch the product? Yesterday would be a good idea. And if not, then today. And if you're not ready, then you will never be ready, because you need to get the feedback as soon as you can in order to build this cadence of failing fast and trying again and trying again and trying again. To a certain extent, and occasionally, I'll tell people, launch the product today. And they will tell me, oh, it's embarrassing level. We're going to lose our customers. And I will tell them, wait a minute, you don't even have customers. Oh, we're going to hurt our brand name. No, you don't have a brand name. You will have a brand name after you're becoming successful. So the most important part is that you need to realize that before you launch the product, you have nothing to lose. When you have nothing to lose, this is exactly the time to move fast. The first part of the journey of building a startup is figuring out product market fit.
What is product market fit?
That's really simple. Product market fit means that you create value to your customers. As simple as. So if you don't figure out product market fit, you will die. You never heard of a company that did not figure out product market. They simply died. That's it. But once a company do figure out product market fit, they don't change that anymore. For a second, I would say, think of all the applications that you're using every day, from searching Google to Gmail to Waze to WhatsApp to Netflix to whatever, to Uber to whatever it is. And what is the difference between any of those today and the first time that you have used that? And the answer is that there is no difference. We are using Waze today the same way that we used Waze for the first time. We're searching Google the same way that we searched Google for the first time in our life.
It's solving the same problem as initially.
So once a company figure out product market fit, this is the value that they create to their customers. They don't want to change that. The value is there and you don't want to change that in. What we don't know is how long did it take them to figure that out. Because before they figure out product market fit, we never heard them. We never heard their name, right? And after that, we take that for granted and we started using it. And it's really hard to think about the word before. But we don't know how long it took them. It's years. For Waze, it was 4 years.
4 years.
4 years. We started in 2007 and Waze became good enough in Brazil only in 2011. 4 years.
And how do you define this moment? What was the clue?
I'll get to that in a second. For Microsoft, it was 5 years, right? For Netflix, it was 10 years, right? Now, if you'll tell me, oh, this is old school. Today, everything is AI, is overnight. Then I would say, wait a minute. OpenAI is 7 years old.
And nobody knows it.
Nobody knows that, right? Because we heard about them last year. And we think about it, okay, so they just started last year. No, they started 6 years beforehand of building value. Building value takes time. That is the basic of everything, right? Building value, creating value takes time. And that's what makes this journey very, very hard, right? Because it's a long roller coaster journey of failures. And by the way, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be successful. But if you give up, you're definitely not going to be successful. So how do I define product market fit? That's really simple. There's only one metric for product market fit: retention.
Retention.
If you create value, they will come back. If they are not coming back, that means that you're not creating value.
If they use once, if they come back, it means
that you really create value. I don't care if they like or don't like. You create value, they will come back. If they like it, that's awesome, right? But if you create value, they will come back.
Right.
And so occasionally, when people, and this is really hard to define, right? Only if you agree that this is the only metric and you measure it, only then you can get there. Because beforehand, most people would like to believe that they are already at product market fit. And then you ask them, okay, so what is your retention numbers? And you will find out that they don't have retention. No, they don't measure retention.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't measure retention, then obviously you don't know if it's good enough. If you create value, they will come back. So retention will end up to be the only metric. The challenge, by the way, is that in order to get to product market fit from the user perspective, then the user needs to hear about your product or your value proposition. And then they need to realize that this might be valuable for them. And then they need to give it a try. This is hard by itself. And then it needs to be simple enough for them to get to the value. And only then they can get to the value.
No friction,
No friction. And by the way, simplicity is really hard, right? Just think about the journey, right? So you build the first version, it doesn't work, right? And so you say, okay, I'm going to add another feature. You add another feature, you build the next version, it still doesn't work. You build another feature and another feature and another feature. You make progress in the product development. And then eventually the last feature is the one that makes the difference. And then people start to use that because it creates value for them. What you really need to do next is remove the rest of the features. Because they are creating complexity.
Right.
And complexity is going to hurt your adoption level.
Okay. And then along your journey, let's talk about the journey, the Waze journey, because the other ones you were more experienced, right? You had more room to make mistakes because the network was better. But for the Waze journey, what were the problems on your journey? The challenges, the tough situations, the days that you felt that you would die because of financial pressure or investors. What was, tell me about the complexities of this funny journey.
So for a second, I would say all the startups in the world nearly died multiple times. All the startups in the world, right? If you want to think about that. So let's think of Google, for example, right? Google doesn't strike you as a company that ever struggled, right? But they did. At the beginning of their journey, they were unable to raise capital. And they approached Yahoo and asked Yahoo to acquire them for $2 million. Yahoo said no. And the rest is history, but they struggled. They were unable to raise capital. Now, at the end of the day, if you think of a person would die if your heart stops or no oxygen coming to the brain, right? That's it. That's the definition of a death. A company will die if they run out of money. That's it, as simple as that. Now, you would run out of money if you are not profitable and you are unable to raise capital.
Okay.
That's it. Now, if you're profitable, then raising money is not an issue. Most of the companies died when they ran out of cash. That's it. And therefore, raising capital is becoming a major issue, or becoming profitable, right? I prefer becoming profitable, but not necessarily, right? So in order to build your journey of fundraising, you need to make sure that you, at the beginning, being able to raise initial capital to start the journey, but then demonstrate results that will help you to keep on raising capital and continue the journey. So for a second, I would say raising capital is like refueling your car for the journey.
Right.
Without fuel, you are not going to go anywhere. Now, the fueling or the refueling is not the purpose of the journey. Purpose of the journey is very different, right? It's about value creation. But you need this fuel in order to continue the journey. And we already realized that this is going to be long journey, right? So it's a matter of years until you figure out product market fit. The good news is that if you figure out product market fit, you will be successful. In all of my startups, when we had really hard time to raise capital, we nearly died.
Is it a sign that you're trying to solve a problem?
No,
which
it's
is
a sign that you are making less progress than what the market would like you to do. Or, with Waze, we started in 2007 and then we raised the initial funding at 2008 and we started the journey. The first version of Waze was running on a PDA. So long
What is a
time
PDA?
ago.
Explain to the viewers.
To the youngest.
For the viewers.
So long time ago, there were
tablets or
dinosaurs and then PDA and then Nokia phones. And today we all have iPhones and Android, right? So PDA was a handheld device that is like a small tablet with occasionally without even connectivity to the internet and definitely without many of the capabilities that we have today in a tablet. I
guess the friction to use that was a lot. Because it would not be so easy as
because it was not connected and there was no real-time traffic, right? So without real-time traffic, it's definitely not. But then we built the first version that was running on a Nokia phone and it turned out to be actually pretty good. And we launched the product. We started in Israel and it was good in Israel. So we launched that rest of the world, right? It was not good enough. It was not good enough in Brazil. It was not enough in the US. It was not good enough in Western Europe.
On the Nokia, I mean.
On the Nokia and then on the iPhone as well, right? But it was not good enough because this is crowdsourcing of the information and it takes time to engage users and so forth. So Waze relies on critical mass in order to be good enough. But the product itself was not good enough as well. And so we did multiple iterations. Every time we listened to the users, they told us what doesn't work. We built the next version to address everything that they've told us. And you launch the next version and you know that this is it, and it's not. And you're doing it all over again, right? So you speak with the users, they tell you what doesn't work, you build the next version, you have the conviction that this time it's going to work, and it's not. Iteration after iteration after iteration, more than a year of iteration. During this year of iterations, we were actually good enough in 4 places, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia, in Latvia, and Ecuador, right? So they're all small places. They're all small countries. And we were pretty close to run out of cash. And you try to raise capital when you have no traction in major markets, right? And this is really hard because what the investors are telling you, okay, so you might be a good solution for small markets. And on top of that, Google launched their Google Maps with turn-by-turn navigation. And our investors told us that you are doomed. Right. If you can sell the company today for $20 million, you should, right? And we say, no, we are different. We are not navigation. So we are daily commute.
Which year was that?
That was 2010.
3 years before the exit.
3 years before the exit. And we were lucky to a certain extent because Google launched their Google Maps and they surprised the entire market, right? So no one knew. And Microsoft did not have any alternative, and they invested in Waze. So we were lucky in that sense that Microsoft invested at Waze, and we kept us alive. And then we started to figure out the product market fit and starting to get traction until, eventually Google acquired us. But at the end of the day, look, I have startups in the travel industry, right? And during COVID, they nearly died, right? They nearly died during COVID. But the most important behavior of a CEO of a startup is never give up. Never give up, no matter what. Keep on fighting uphill battle. That's fine. Just imagine that you need to climb on an ice wall with your nails, right? That's how hard it is, right? And you don't give up. That's it. If you give up, you'll die. If you don't give up, then you might live and die another day. And that is really, really important. The second most important behavior of successful CEOs, and particularly in startups, is make hard decisions with conviction.
Okay, tell me about that.
I spoke with many entrepreneurs that their startup failed and asked them why, what happened. And about half told me the team was not right. And I kept on asking, okay, what do you mean the team was not right? And what I heard the most is, we had this guy not good enough and this guy not good enough. So not good enough was the main reason. Another reason that I heard quite often is that we had communication issues, right? Something that I actually called ego management issues. And then I asked them the most interesting question: when did you know that the team is not right? Now, the answer was actually pretty scary. All of them told me within the first month. I said, wait a minute, if you knew within the first month that the team is not right and you didn't do anything, the problem was not that the team was not right. The problem was that the CEO did not make hard decisions. Making hard decisions is hard. Making easy decisions is easy. This is why most people don't like to make the hard decisions. In a small organization like a startup, it will go always all the way to the top, to the CEO to make that decision. Now, the challenge is, if the CEO does not make that decision, the result is always the same. The top performing people would leave. Now, they would leave because they have a choice. Let's just think about it, right? So you have people that shouldn't be here, and they are still here. Top performing people are leaving, and you end up with a mediocre team. It's hard to build a startup. It's hard to be successful. It's hard to do that with the right team. If you don't have the right team, this is nearly impossible. There is a chapter in my book that called Firing and Hiring. And when I initially sent the book proposal to some of the publishers, they told me, oh, it should be hiring and firing. I said, no. Firing is a hard decision. Hiring is easy decision. This is why, first of all, you have to learn how to fire. This is the hard decision. If you take into consideration that everyone knew within the first month, and you think about small organization, like startup is a small organization. If there is someone that shouldn't be there, everyone knows. That's the nature of the beast. Everyone knows, and the CEO doesn't do anything. That's where the problem is. Now, if you realize that this is only within a month you would know, then I would say, wait a minute, every time that you hire someone new, mark your calendars for 30 days down the road and ask yourself one question. Knowing what you know today, would you hire this person? Now, if the answer is yes, go to this person and tell them, I really like the fact that you have joined. You are exceeding my expectations. And if this is a startup, then give them more equity. But if the answer is no, fire them immediately. This person is not going to be successful. They're already set on a trajectory of not being successful. And everyone knows. When you fire them, you're doing your team a favor. You're doing yourself a favor. You're doing this person a favor. They're not going to be successful here. They deserve to be successful. They might be successful someplace else, but not here. And this turns out to be very, very strong conclusion. When I tell that to people, occasionally I would hear, okay, now I know what do I need to do tomorrow morning. And in general, I would say that this is true for everything in life, right? Knowing what you know today, would you do something different? If the answer is yes, then do something different today.
Is this that pattern you're recognizing in successful startups? The team was the right team for that one business?
The most important thing about setting the likelihood of being successful is how strong the team is. And in general, I would say excellent CEOs will hire people that are better than themselves in what they need to do and smarter than themselves. And so mediocre or less than excellent CEOs will usually hire people that are less than themselves. And because they would like to remain the smartest person in the room. No, I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. I want the team to win. It's not a one-man show. It's a team effort. At the end of the day, you will be successful if the team is strong. And for that, you need to have people that are smarter and better than you. And so generally speaking, I would say, I would like the CEO to be second best in everything. The best in everything is going to be the management. And this is a key to increase the likelihood of being successful.
Very nice. Uri, thanks a lot for all your knowledge here. Who did you wrote this book for? What is the persona that should read this book?
So initially I wrote this book for entrepreneurs, right? And this is what I had in mind. And Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, called that the Bible for entrepreneurs.
That's you. Yeah.
I sent him when I sent him the first chapter, he told me, I wish I had that when I started. But then after writing the book and getting feedbacks from a lot of people, I realized that this book is not only for just business people and all the business people in the world, but also for many. One entrepreneur told me that I am going to buy another book because my mom took my first book, right? So I bought a book, my mom took it, and she is a principal of middle school. And she told me that that was the best education book she ever read. So that was not necessarily the purpose, but it ended up with, very strong advice. And to a certain extent, I would say the book is written in a way that, in the way that I speak, right? And usually when I initially get some feedbacks, people tell me, oh, sounds like you're speaking, and it's not a book, it's not a written language, it's a spoken language. And I say, this is exactly what I wanted, right? I want that to be simple and crisp so people can actually take something out of the book. I believe that pretty much everyone that will read the book will get something and will increase their likelihood of being successful, and therefore will make me valuable for them, and they will become more successful. And if this is the case, then I fulfilled my destiny.
Nice. This is the great time now everybody's expecting for. What is the sentence from this book that you would extract from this book and put on a shirt and come to here for the...
So obviously this is one, right? So fall in love with the problem, not the solution. But the second one is don't be afraid to fail. And if you are a parent and you have children, the most important thing that you can do for them is teach them to fail. Because when they learn to fail, then they will fail and get up. Fail and get up. Every time that they get up strong. And in particular, what they know more than anything else is that it's okay to fail because they can get up. That is going to make them happier because it will help them to go and explore out of their comfort zone. What is it that makes them happy? If they're afraid to fail, they will never leave the comfort zone. And the result is that they don't know, or they might not find out what will make them happy. If you want your kids to be happy, if you want your children to be happy, teach them.
Very good. And for last, just challenge our viewers now. I'm going to propose that you create a challenge for our viewers so they can ask themselves questions regarding entrepreneurs, right? If you have a business idea, what questions they can ask themselves to understand if they are falling in love with the problem they're solving, or is just another distraction? Can you create this challenge for them?
Oh, that's really easy. Just think about that you are going to approach an investor and you write them one paragraph of an email. How does this paragraph start with? And usually I would say this is like 98% of the emails that I get. They will tell me what they're doing and not why they're doing. And the why is the value proposition. So at the end of the day, you are going to be successful if you create value. People don't care if there is a magician behind Waze, or there is a rocket science software, or there are army of people that are actually working behind the scenes and giving you the best route. You don't really care. What you do care is what it does for you and not what it does. So always ask yourself, what's the value that you create to your customers? And to a certain extent, I would say the first paragraph that describes your company should be about why you're doing what you're doing. And if you read what you're writing today to investors, you are very likely to find out that you're writing what you are doing and not why you are doing. So change that as a starting.
Very good. Thanks, Uri. The book is available on Amazon. It's all on the good bookstores in Brazil, including the ResumoCast bookstore. Here at Cubitao on the 7th floor, we have a bookstore, and this book will be available there as well. So I would like you to leave your contact numbers and the website and share with the Brazilian viewers what is your current project and where they can find you and reach out to you.
So I probably have, so number one, if you read the entire book, my email is there, right? So if you
somewhere
find it, and I have a website, urilevine.com. And I'm mainly using LinkedIn. So Uri Levine at LinkedIn is my main social media contact. And occasionally people will look for me on Instagram, but I'm not really active. So LinkedIn, my website, and if you read the entire book, you will find my email there.
Nice. Thanks, Uri. I hope you like this episode of our program. And if you like, just activate the notifications and comment what is the next book you want to see in ResumoCast. And I see you in the next episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you.